Time to call the meeting to order. First item of business, any declarations of pecuniary interest?
No.
Seeing none, move on. I regret to inform you that the minutes have not yet been, for the last meeting, have not yet been created. So we're unable to move them. We'll have to put that off until next meeting. Next item, business from previous minutes, bike month event. This is unfortunate. This is where I was hoping that the health unit could join us, because Sarah Merkel had been actively involved in this sort of thing in the past and might have left notes with her colleague to guide some of that. Does anybody have, Vicky, do you know where this came from? Who was attached to it before?
I don't have any information. Nothing's been forwarded to me, and I had expected the health unit rep to be here this evening.
Mm-hmm.
However, we can proceed at least with some sort of a brainstorming and some thoughts and ideas on where maybe the group wants to go, and hopefully she'll join us shortly.
I hope.
There was also, I went back and looked at some of the old ATAC minutes from last year, around the time period of May and June. And so I would also suggest, Vicky, that you go back and look at some of those minutes, because there was some materials and suggestions that came out in the minutes, and like things like the there was a bingo card, there was samples set out of that. So those are things that we should also look at. There's no point in recreating the wheel if we feel something was successful.
Okay.
Vicky, are you able to send those to new members of the committee as well, so that we can look at those, or is that not allowed?
Yeah, I can. They are also available on the website under the council calendar. However, I'm more than happy to go through. I think most of that would have been in April and May last year.
Yes.
And I know a lot of that was kind of smaller one-off ideas, whereas the concept for this was to do kind of an event, a larger event. But I'm more than happy to pull that and send it out.
Yeah, I should have known those are online. I can always look at those.
It's okay. This way, everybody has them and everybody has the same thing, and nobody's struggling to find them. I'd be happy to send them out.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
it's just to help with brainstorming. The minutes had a bunch of ideas in them, and then there were a couple samples that came after that.
Okay. So would we think this would be directed at the general public, specifically children, or specifically adults? Any preferences? Any?
I would think we'd probably want to keep it open to as many people as we could, probably.
Yeah.
But there could certainly be specific ideas geared towards children or families, like a family ride, or
Yeah.
That would be
Just
my
depending on
thoughts.
yeah, just depending on some activities, right? If we are gearing to, children, adults, families, as you had mentioned there.
Well, definitely last year, what we tried to do is have events that kind of hit everybody.
Right.
So we were doing like ride your bike to work day. Trying to think, we went up to the farmers market to encourage people to go to the market. And we had group rides with Cycle Stratford, etc. So that we were trying to get all the different people that ride. And the bingo card that
Right.
was mentioning was all about for school children and so on. And so yeah, that's definitely the way we were doing it. But this year, if we're thinking about having one big event, it might still be a good idea to have different things for different groups. That's just what I want to say.
Yeah, how do we promote bike month? Like, is there digital media, or is it like newspapers, or do we do all many different ways?
We had started working with the transit. They have displays on board. So Sarah Burkle from the public health unit had started working with them, developing essentially a year-long calendar of active transportation events.
Mhm.
So bike month being bike month, there would be some lead up to that and promotion through that month. Some of that had already been put into the hands of the transit and media people for the transit.
Fantastic.
And Mike Bites did a lot of videos, and just so you know, the counselors all had to come on rides.
Yeah,
And be on video.
No pressure, Hart.
Let's say they were invited. Yeah,
yeah.
Great.
Felicity organized a bunch of photos, and in fact, they were shared with the ATAC committee. And then I think they were put up on website, and
Oh,
I
nice.
think we put some information up on like Cycle Stratford too.
A couple of pictures ended
Yeah.
up on the report card.
Yeah.
Oh. Great.
Is there any outreach we can do to schools to just inform them? I don't know if that's cost prohibitive or not, but to send something home with kids for families or something.
I think that's what the bingo card was about. It's my understanding. Pat and I and Sarah Merkel and Kathy Vasilakos did a lot of that. Maybe it's just that we were at the meeting. I don't remember. Maybe
Yeah.
we had a special meeting. But anyway, that's my understanding. Sarah did it for the health unit. Through the health unit, put it through the schools. And then, so the bingo card was just all different activities for kids to do.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like we
with their
should
bikes.
definitely look at that. And I mean, I found it in my minutes from ATAC. So if you can't find it, Vicky, just pop me an email because I can forward that one on. Because it's definitely something we should look at again, and it's already there.
Was it?
Yeah. I
Sure.
can send out summaries from all the minutes.
Okay.
I'll definitely be able to find them. I have
Yeah.
them all.
Okay.
Send that out and get an idea, and then it'll give some background to the new members as well as
Yeah.
the invited.
But that sample bingo card also went out to all of us to look at.
And one of the lines on the ATAC report card was the fact that we've connected with all the schools already. And so we do have a communication channel well opened for that. So in the past,
Question.
they've been quite receptive.
Yeah, I apologize for asking questions that you all know
No.
the answer to, but I'll
No, that's a good
I'll
question.
get there.
Yeah.
Felicity, can I just ask, because so you think was there a walk and wheel for the local schools, or was the bingo card the only thing done? Because I saw that on the list too.
I don't remember, Pat.
Okay.
I wasn't instrumental in that, neither were
Okay.
you. That's
No,
why
I wasn't, no.
Yeah, so I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, so when we talked about, I think we talked about encouraging car-free Fridays,
Mhm.
right?
Now, if we wanted to encourage people to ride to work, could we do something through the Chamber of Commerce or something like that?
Yeah,
We need to get a little more general connection to the public. I'm not sure what facilities we have to reach out. Do we have much of an advertising or communication budget available? We talked about some of that in our budget, was allowing for community outreach. But the specific address that we had for that was smaller in community activities or small events. Vicky?
So the budget should be finalized in March. I should be able to let you know how much we have for certain items. However, the report card did go over what we had anticipated. So communications will be a little bit lower
Mm-hmm.
than maybe we thought. However, as you said, we can use the BIA, we can use our communications lead at the city with Facebook, et cetera, things like that. So we do have partnerships who we've used in the past that we can lean on due to that budget being potential. And that's if it gets passed as is, potentially reduced a little bit. So just something to keep in mind. It may be good to use community partners as opposed to costs for communication.
What would a bike event, a big bike event look like to people? Because we've just been saying what we did before,
Mhm.
that we were doing a lot of smaller ones, trying to hit different groups. So if we did want to do a big one, what would that look like? Uh,
Well, I would suggest that it would need to be in a location that had decent cycling infrastructure around it, so that people could cycle in and out of, as opposed to dodging trucks.
I recall one at a previous city was that they had a kind of a pop-up bike safety area, you know, for individuals that can't or don't have access to like a bike shop. They did kind of a quick check, make sure your bike is safe, you know, minor repairs, they did a tweak here and there. It went over well because it got the public out, and then after that they were able to participate in you know, whatever the event was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just to follow up on that, at Cycle Stratford, we did last year have somebody do a couple bike maintenance sessions, and they went over really well. They were well attended, so that's something that we could certainly consider again. And I can also talk to Cycle Stratford about, because we'll want to be doing obviously some activity during bike month also. So you know, there may be opportunities to partner in some manner once we kind of think about what we would like to do here.
That'd be great.
So would we do like a family ride of some type? Like could it be in Market Square or something and start like on a weekend or on a Sunday or something like that?
Mhm.
Or could we close off? You know how they sometimes close off down by the river for, you know, some kind of a family walk, family ride of some type. Maybe we could even tie in a charity or something. I don't know.
No, that's a great idea, because yeah, with, you know, how they walk around the river, sometimes they shut it down for over the weekend or certain hours through the weekend.
Mhm.
You know, this would be something to, you know, bring up. That I think that'd be a great idea.
Yeah, I really like that.
Yeah, and then, you know, that's might be a good spot to, because everybody likes going in that area anyhow.
Right.
You know, where we have these type of events. You know, if there is some sort of maintenance seminar or things like that, you know, that'd be a great kind of central location, a lot of space.
Mhm.
Even like the Winterfest it was,
Like
you know,
just like Winterfest, right?
yeah, exactly right. And you similar to that.
In a previous city, I was in the cycling advisory committee, just strictly cycling. And one of our activities was we took people on safe cycle rides, pointing out the safe facilities that existed in the city.
Mhm.
So we could do a 5K version of that,
Yeah.
based out of a location, and just, you know, indicate to people, you know, there's some safe places to take the family cycling. You know, here's some places you can explore off on your own.
And even putting something on like bicycle rules and those type of features that kind of just educate, just a reminder, I guess, you know, back to getting back into cycling. You know, some of us tend to forget, and you know, kind of bring that back to the, you know, the forefront again.
Does Cycle Stratford have any certified instructors in the membership?
I don't believe so. We're talking about creating a ride leaders guide and process, but we have done like Wayne has done a couple sessions, and there is a company out of Kitchener where like teaching children to ride safely, and we got the local police involved. One of the police who bike came out. To be honest, like the kids who came really liked it. It was really good, but we kind of had mixed success with it. So, but it's something we could consider again as part of, if we were doing an event or, like a one, but I know the bike, I can ask about, I was only involved in one, so I can ask about that to see, how successful they felt it was. But I know the maintenance one was very popular. So I can ask about the safety one, like learn to ride safely or safety rules. I'll ask about it.
Okay.
Okay.
Maybe it would go over better if it was part of a bigger event.
Of a bigger event, yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any way we can do? Sorry, Harj, go ahead.
No, sorry, go ahead, Ian.
I was just gonna ask if there's any way we could do, like, for people who maybe cycling isn't as accessible, like borrow a bike for half an hour and ride around and then bring it back, although hopefully they bring it back, but I don't know if we'd have access to bicycles somewhere that could be, borrowed out just for the ride along the river or something like that. Maybe nice for families to be able to do that, but I don't know if that's possible or not. It might involve a lot of logistics.
I think so, yeah. Some of the larger communities might have a trove with the police.
Yeah,
Well,
maybe.
Does the one bike shop rent out bikes during the summer? The one on Ontario?
I think on the one Ontario,
I was
front.
gonna say, I think they rent out bikes. I don't think the other one does. I could be wrong, but
I thought the one on Ontario Street.
Yeah.
did.
Totally spoke does.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
You see them out there, yeah. Anyway, it's a thought, but you'd need kid-sized bikes, you're thinking, right? Yeah,
Yeah. Maybe like families, so there'd be a variety of.
Oh, okay.
That adds a lot more on our end, right? Because everyone else is bringing their own means of transportation. So.
Vicky?
I just wanted to note, so any event taking place on municipal property requires a special event application. So that would need to be done sooner rather than later. So I think probably by the March meeting, we're gonna wanna have pretty good idea, kind of button up the final details and submit that application. So whether that means a little bit of back and forth with email over the course of that time, but just bear that in mind that if we actually want to use municipal property and have a little bit of a bigger event, we do have to go through an application process as well.
Okay. What sort of spaces does that include? That would be like the arena parking lot or the?
Yeah, so it does it any municipal property.
Okay.
So really where we're going to do the event realistically is what we're going to need. So they're not difficult to fill out. If you're not asking for road closures, again, it's a lot easier. So those things to think about. But just to bear in mind that we have that process still to go to, so we can't leave this until May to kind of button up what we want to do. We kind of got to get moving in the next month.
Okay.
That form covers the road closure, does it? Is that in part of it? Okay.
Yeah, it's everything from, what you're doing, the number of people. You're going to need a site plan of like, in this location, we have bike education. In this spot, we have the maintenance. Over here, we have a little kids bike rodeo with an obstacle course. Whatever your things are that you want to do, we'll also have to give kind of a site map so that everything looks good. And if you're going to put up any little 10 by 10 tents, we need to note that. So there's a little bit to work through. It sounds like more than it is, but we do need to have some idea of what these details are. So not to rush the group, not to scare the group, but just so everyone realizes that we still have that process as well.
Could you send us a sample of the form so we know the types of things we need to kind of think about and finalize?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I can
That'd be great.
send that tomorrow with all the other information.
Okay, thank you.
So I guess one thing that we should target then is perhaps narrowing down the possibility of locations primarily. The specific events can be general on the form, at least to get started. But the location would need to be fairly specific.
And sorry, Vicky, forgive my ignorance, but is there like fees associated with this? Like do we have to?
As long as we get the application in on time. I don't think we're gonna run into any fees, based on what you guys are talking about.
Okay,
I don't think there's gonna be any fees for that, no,
for the use of the space. Yeah.
for the use of the space, as long as we're not talking indoor space, as long as we're talking
Oh,
outdoor.
okay.
Sounds
Okay.
like everybody's in agreement at this point with that.
Yeah.
Then no, there shouldn't be a cost to us.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
I really like the idea of using the river as kind of an area. So I don't know if we want, like we were talking about Market Square as well, but I think that's a great location. There's lots of space.
Mhm.
If we can get the road closure, then we have potentially the arena parking lot for if we're doing bike safety, or if we're
Yeah.
doing learn to bike or repairs, etc. It's lots of space there. So I would be in favor of that location over Market Square, I think.
Yeah, like Upper Queens Park plus along the,
Along the river.
yeah.
Mhm.
I'm not the chair, but do we want to show of hands about whether we want to go for Queens Park or what?
Well, are we talking about that entire river area, or are we just talking?
So I hate to bring this up, but do you think we're gonna have difficulties or limitations with the theater? Because we're talking June.
Depends on our time of day, probably, and day of the week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think we'd go on a weekend, wouldn't we? Like
Mhm.
on a Sunday, maybe? I don't know. Sunday morning, I guess we would be okay.
Is it the same number of shows on Saturdays and Sundays?
It really depends on the
Yeah,
month, and I mean, the good news is May and June is not as busy as later on, but
Yeah.
really just depends.
I
You have
think,
to look at the calendar.
So
if
yeah,
I
we have
recall,
to-
Sundays usually have like a matinee, right? And it's, but if I remember, last time they had the road closure, I think they closed it right by Queen Street. That way it doesn't interfere with the parking lot and parking for the festival, and to, in that area on. That's what, if I remember, I think that was kind of the area that they closed last year, or last year, just for the walks and that.
Mhm.
so are we talking from Waterloo to Queen then? Is that maybe the
No,
thinking?
it's Queen over into the park.
The other way, gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you. Be nice to have access to maybe to that parking lot there too. Off Queen Street.
Well, yeah, we have the month of June, so we can take a look at the theater schedule, because it is
Right.
pretty much published already.
Yes, it's out. I just don't have it in front of me, so.
Vicky?
You'll have to consider if there's other events already scheduled for June. It's a popular area. So I think that's something we need to look into as well, to see what options we have as far as what events are already going on in the area.
We'd be conflicting. We wouldn't want to conflict for space, but we could live alongside of some other events. Does anybody know if Art in the Park has started back up again? Just doing the art shows along the.
I think they were up last summer, weren't
They
they?
were up last summer.
Mhm. I'm just not sure when they start.
Right.
So Vicky, would you have a list of what's already known that's been approved for in that area?
I
for
would,
June?
however, the special event coordinator would have
Okay,
all that. So it would be a matter of conferring with her on what's going on already, what's booked for June, to give us an idea on dates.
right. So can you do that for us, or do we do that, or what's the process?
I'm happy to look into it if you'd like.
Is that
And
okay?
add that, like when I send the email out, with the
Okay.
minutes, then I can add that in as well.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah, that would help us. Thank you, Vicky. How much of Lakeside are you guys thinking you want to have? Any thoughts yet or no?
I haven't been to a bike event down there before. Has anybody else? I think that's why we're having trouble visualizing it.
I'm just remembering our proposal last year to close half of the drive there, the lakeside lane for active transportation purposes. Because that way there could be one way into the theater parking along the water into those parking spots along the river.
Yeah,
And
right.
still way for people to exit is along and up through the park, across the bridge.
That probably makes it much easier to schedule in terms of festival concerns anyways.
Mhm. We can look at the options as we move forward through this month and have something a little more finalized for next month's meeting.
Yeah, maybe think about how long you want that space to be, like how much space do we need for a cycling event? I don't know if from Queen Street over to like the lower Queens side is enough for a cycling event. I don't know. It feels kind of small.
Well, I think if we were going to do something like a family bike ride, you probably want to, like, we can't, I don't know, like, yeah, like you need some kind of a route, maybe a couple kilometers or something like that. So maybe it's like a start and end that
Mhm.
you want to have space for, plus maybe a maintenance and a safety thing or something. So, and then figure out a route or a couple different routes that people can go.
So is that going to involve more closures than just Lakeside? Is that what you're?
I'm not suggesting closures. I'm just agreeing that what you're saying between this parking lot and that parking lot's a pretty short distance for a ride. I don't, yeah.
I'm just.
It'd be
concerned-
great if we could do around the river even, like if that would be an option. I'm not sure what's involved from logistics and permits and closures, but that kind of gives us that couple kilometer ride through it.
Gives you a loop there.
Yes.
Yeah, although the cycling on the other side of the river can be difficult depending on the conditions and the type of cycle you have.
True.
Yeah, that would be my concern if we're not closing. If we're putting the route on non-closed roads, but we have families and little kids, that would be my concern, right? So
Yeah.
we'd have to be really, really careful about where we're choosing. Obviously we would be, but yeah,
Yeah, no, that's fair.
those safety
Okay.
concerns come to my mind right away. Yeah.
Well, I trust drivers in Stratford a lot more than I trust drivers in Mississauga. So
That's probably fair.
a good family event. The parents manage the kids. We had a few that they weren't managing. They were off on their ride, and so we were
Yeah.
helping their kids keep along with them. So don't know about some people, but okay. Any other ideas? So we have idea of safety demonstration, education, some possible maintenance if we can get a couple of people who are interested in that involved. We need to look at a specific date that won't conflict with the festival, won't conflict with other existing events, and see what part we could what part of the city would be the best to look at. We're thinking down by the river, but if we can't come up with a an obvious logistic setup there, we might have to come to a different locale. Any other thoughts that pop into the head?
I was just gonna add in that if we have a problem with the closure or the location or traffic, we could look at between Stratford Central or Stratford Intermediate and TJ Dolan, the road
Yeah.
where we don't have any vehicular traffic there at all. It's not super long, but maybe the school might be able to be a base of operations, sort of.
Mhm.
The space there, so that's a thought. We'd still have
Yeah.
something to worry about, but
That would be a good alternative because we were having an event for Cycle Stratford, and I would say that that I think that's something that we could approach the school about too if we find that this doesn't work, because they were pretty amenable to helping us out down in their parking lot there at the
yeah.
at the at the school. And then you've got the multi-use trail there.
Mhm.
And you could even go up through the cemetery,
Yeah, true.
right?
Mhm.
Have to climb the hill, but
Yeah, well, yeah, you'd have to climb the hill. No, I'm just thinking in terms of traffic, it's a lot easier to manage.
Do you want me to list this on the March agenda then for finalization?
Yes, and if you could, if we can come up with a couple of concerns that we can email exchange to maybe move forward.
I'll send everything up to in the next days. By the end of the week, I'll get out all the information everybody's requested, and I'll see if I can get the information from the event coordinator as well.
Okay, thank you. Ian?
Are there any other like groups like mountain biking or, a little less, we're obviously a little more about being on roads and bike lanes, but are there any other groups that can maybe provide varied cycling activities? And
Is there any group out of the wheel park?
There is a guy who does gravel rides, and I know that there's been a couple through Cycle Stratford. I don't know how many people participated in it, but I can certainly ask about it. We're having a board meeting next month, or what, I can ask about it beforehand to see how popular it was. I think there's also what's the one that they go out to Wildwood and they
Yeah.
well, the fat bikes,
the fat bikes or whatever. Yeah,
you
but
could
I
look
don't.
at something like that, and that might be good for if we were doing it out of the alternative location, that might work well through Dolan, right? But just a thought. If we get get anyone into cycling, that's probably great, right? So no matter what it is. Sorry, Felicity.
I was just going to ask, are bikes allowed on the track? Does anybody know? Because, well, maybe we don't want to get into races, but I was just thinking about that. That's all, that would be another place to ride. But yeah, maybe that's not okay.
I think they're allowed, but I think they do post some wear on the track. They'll put grooves in it, but you'd have to ask the school about that, I guess. Certainly people ride on it, so.
Just kind of echoing off what Ian had mentioned, maybe the local bike shops, are aware of some events like that where they have, certain areas. I know previously, as people have gone, those get into London, like a Fancher Park Road, they have some bike stuff there, but they might be aware of some local activities of that nature.
Yeah, I was wondering if UTR, like if Wildwood, if UTRCA rents out fat bikes or anything. I don't know.
Yeah, and I'm not sure, but
we certainly have contacts with UTRCA, so.
Something to do.
Okay. Any other suggestions of other local people involved in cycling that we could Okay. That's a good start. And I'll see if I can reach out to the public health unit and see if there's notes that got left behind when Sarah went on maternity leave. To see if there's more to add into the discussion. If so, I'll pass it on to Vicky and it can be included in the packet that comes out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure Cycle Stratford would support participating once we kind of move forward, and I'll at the board meeting, I'll put it on the agenda to talk about ways that we can, participate or jointly support whatever the plans are. So I'm sure I'm be able to do that. But I'll also ask about other types of biking, like the gravel or fat bikes, and if they have any contacts.
Okay. Any other notes? Okay. Thank you. So any new business, there is nothing scheduled on the new business. John?
I was just, when I was looking at the report card that was sent out, it was talking about bike racks and that kind of thing. I just noticed that the one building uptown that has no bike racks is the city hall. I don't think there's one around it. I think maybe the city ought to practice what it preaches.
We do have bike racks outside City Hall.
Whereabouts?
They may not be out right now. They do remove them in the winter because of snow clearing.
Because-
There's one at the back door, at the rear door off Market Square. There's also one tucked in the alcove by the front steps. Those two
Okay.
are there generally.
But well, last fall when I had to go up there a couple of times, and I think once I ended up locking my bike up to a bench, and the other time was some construction fencing that was around the back door. I don't remember seeing a bike rack.
I'm not sure. I just know that there's people that bike to work every day.
I know there are bike racks there in the height of the summer. It's how soon they take them in might be the concern.
I was just wondering if maybe they could put some of those the bike rings type rack up.
I thought I saw some not on the city hall island, but
Yeah,
on the other sides of the street.
Yeah, there's some on the corner of Wellington and Downing, like on the other side.
Yeah.
From City Hall.
So that may be something we can bring forward a little later, is just look at what schedule there may be on putting them out and taking them in.
Yeah, okay.
That's information we could get from Public Works.
Okay.
We have a lot of requests of you, Vicky. Ooh, committee, eh?
Okay, anything else? Okay, I note the next meeting is March 22nd at 7 p.m. and that's going to be at the Stratford Rotary Complex in the Manbridge Room. So we're meeting in person. So on the first floor, and you can see all of Peter's Juno Awards hanging on the wall. Okay, so if there's no other business, motion to adjourn would be accepted. Ian, thank you. Councillor, second, thank you. All in favor? Thank you all, and good night.
Yeah.
Thank you, Vicky, for
Thank you, Vicky,
keeping us under control.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
and for your
Yeah.
help. Thank you.